Blink-182 is in a tough position. They have fans like me who don't want to see an inauthentic rehash of the take off your pants and jacket era, especially since they're in their 40s. I thought their last album, California, felt kind of confused. They had these awesome experimental tracks, but at the same time they had a bunch of songs that kind of felt like they were just written to please fans. So how does their latest album, 9, balance fan expectations with evolution? Let's get into my review. Starting with the good, the opening track, The First Time, has a very feelingless vibe to it. It's got the same kind of compressed effect on the drums as that song. Travis is classically aggressive, contrasted with some electronic beats in the pre-chorus, while Matt introduces a hook that's carried into the chorus, where he and Mark sing two different vocal melodies simultaneously, but they intersect as they both sing Nothing Like the First Time. Skiba totally sold me on this track. I wasn't really digging him after Tom left such a major component of their sound and took it with him. It just felt awkward replacing him with somebody who didn't really bring the same sort of instability to their voice that Tom did. However, we totally got that on this track. So overall, this is an awesome opener and it got me really excited about the album. No Heart to Speak Of is the next track I want to talk about because, whoa. This song is the inverse of the opening track in every way. Where The First Time is upbeat and catchy, this song tackles loss and has this sense of desperation that comes from having no control over a situation where loss occurs. When a band sings about loss, I prefer it to just be sort of general loss, and not just, my girlfriend broke up with me and now my life sucks, and it's just super generic. There's a metaphor used of vultures coming and literally ripping apart a home, so this could be about a family that's dissolved or just a bad relationship. But there's this line, dying on the bathroom floor, thinking of the life we had before, that just really grabbed me the first time I heard it. This is a song about your world just totally ending and having no way of coping or moving forward in any capacity. It's bleak, unhinged, haunting, and just absolutely beautiful. I cannot get enough of this track. Black Rain is another standout track with intense electronic influences that are borderline dubsteppy at times, but it totally works. Now that's a sentence I never thought I'd say about a Blink-182 song. I could do without the intro, but it's revisited again as a pre-chorus where it works much better with a consistent drum track behind it. Hung Over You is a decent experimental track with this really bizarre tribal feel to it. I did not dig this track at first, but the massive drop from the verse to the chorus really draws you in. There just unfortunately isn't really enough to keep me coming back for more in this song. This is definitely the most un-Blink-182 Blink-182 song out there, but I totally appreciate what they were going for with this one. Runaway starts with a hip-hop drum intro with Mark dropping some bars. And this is probably the closest thing you'll ever see to Mark Hoppus rapping, which is really quite off-putting at first listen, but it does grow on you. And it leads into a pretty big and bright-sounding traditional Blink-182 chorus. I dug most of the singles that were put out before the album's release. Dark Side was an acceptable, polished pop song that I listen to occasionally, and I'm quite happy to see on this album. I loved how fresh Blame It On My Youth sounded, until the Blame It Blame part. I started feeling like I was listening to We're Gonna Live Forever by the band Perry, which is not a comparison you want to have made to you if you're a song on a Blink-182 album. The internet ripped apart Skiba's vocals on Generational Divide, which I think was a pretty fair criticism. They are quite a bit louder than the rest of the mix. Some people were saying they're trying to replicate a Tom feel here, and it does kind of take you out of the song, but with repeated listens, you kind of get used to it, and it's a really good tune. I did not dig Happy Days when they first released it as a single. Kind of felt like they were going for like a stay together for the kids type vibe, but it just felt inauthentic and just kind of yucky. But I love the drumming on this track, the guitar works great, and the sections that aren't just repeating Happy Days over and over again, I really like. Unfortunately, there are quite a few tracks on 9 that just really didn't grab me and kind of just left me with like a meh taste in my mouth. Heaven is great lyrically, but there's not a lot going on musically that would bring me back to this one, and I kind of feel like I would rather just read it as poetry than spend 3 minutes and 17 seconds listening to the song. Ransom is just a weird song. The first 43 seconds sound like a ballad that's going to take you into this soaring, happy chorus. Then out of nowhere, it turns into a punk banger about a girl holding some guy for ransom. Musically, this is one of those tracks where it just seemed like it was a wasted opportunity. Pin the Grenade started very promising with a cool drum beat, but doesn't really build to anything interesting, and the chorus is just kind of there. On Some Emo is another one that's just kind of there. The closing track, Remember to Forget Me, is an amalgamation of all sorts of genres, starting with an acoustic ballad, leading into a powerful chorus, before the second verse throws down some electronic clicking beats that kind of left me scratching my head at first, especially since after that there's this massive Travis Barker explosion that really just comes out of nowhere. I appreciate the experimentation here, but it really wasn't for me. Then there's I Really Wish I Hated You, and I really wish I didn't hate this song. I don't like this song. I think it would work better if somebody like the current iteration of Taylor Swift wrote and performed it, but a 47-year-old Mark Hoppus, I just don't really want this song to be a thing. The internet is such a negative place, and I really feel like people are just gonna rip this album apart. But that's really not my style. When Linkin Park put out One More Light, I was the guy in the background that was like, woo, something different. But overall, I really only loved 4 or 5 of the tracks on 9, and I found the others to range from just kind of mediocre to wishing they weren't on the album to just wishing they weren't a thing at all. God, I really wish I hated you. I don't really want to imagine what an Enema of the State Part 2 would look like in 2019, so I give Blink-182 props for committing to an authentic evolution both musically and lyrically. This album delivers something different from a band that is very formulaic at times, even when they do it quite well. Having said that, there aren't many standout tracks for me on this album, and no matter how different or experimental this was for Blink, I think back to how different and experimental some of their other stuff was, and how it was, you know, better. What do you guys think? Is Blink evolving, or do you prefer the more classic Blink-182 sound? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching.